Hi everyone. Can you write in the message box if you can see and hear us? I don't know if anyone can.
Oh, Diana.
Hello.
Are people responding?
One person's responded.
Okay.
Yay! Great. Yeah, people can see and hear us.
Yes. Fab.
Hi everyone. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes to wait for some more people to join us. But you can use this section to write any questions you might have, and then we'll do a little Q&A at the end, and we'll get through as many of the questions as we can. I think we'll just wait till 5 past, and then we'll begin.
Sounds good to me.
If anyone's struggling, well, maybe I should write this. If anyone's struggling to see or hear us, let me know. Okay, I think we can go ahead and start. So this is our second workshop from Contact, and it's how to prepare for your first casting and job. So the next page, please. So I'm Laura, I'm Marketing and Communications Manager at Contact, and I'm also a model. I've been modeling for 5 years now.
I'm Julia, I'm the Operations Coordinator at Contact, as well as a photographer. So my role in Contact is to kind of basically deal with the day-to-day management of models, sending you guys out on jobs and castings, and just sort of generally developing you guys in your portfolios and stuff like that. The general topics that we want to go over today, Laura has kind of curated this and put it together for us. So first, we're going to just look at keywords that are really handy for any kind of model to know. Castings, another one that kind of you'll find a lot of traditional agencies will just kind of like send you off on them, even if you've kind of got no previous experience. So we really want to go over that and make sure you guys know the kind of, you know, the ABCs and the ins and outs of that. Same with jobs. Again, you know, modeling is quite unique in a sense that you won't really have any training before a job. You just kind of get sent off on that, you know, in your first job or whatever. So we want to cover a few pointers on that as well, and just general tips. Yeah, also we'll be doing a Q&A at the end. So yeah, as Laura said, just type any questions you have in the message bar at the side. We can go through that at the end. So I'm just going to go a little bit further into all these keywords and what they mean. So castings, yeah. It's kind of, you know, what it says on the tin is like a modeling version of an audition. You know, the client or the brand will hold these castings. Sometimes it's for like 10 people, sometimes it's for 100, sometimes it's for a lot more. It really can range. So another thing to know is like when you turn up for a casting, you might be waiting for a bit, just to be aware. And yeah, as soon as you kind of go into a casting, just be aware that like the impressions you make kind of go from when you walk in the door. So just make sure you're like friendly and kind of like greet everyone well. But Laura's going to go more into that in a minute. But yeah, so just talking to you guys about what that means and what that entails, and yeah, the best way to go about castings. A ghostie is essentially the same thing. Yeah, not much more to say on that other than like sometimes they can be called ghosties, sometimes they can be called castings. It just kind of depends. Fittings are what any sort of client or brand will sometimes hold before a shoot. Usually the bigger the shoot, the more likely there is to be a fitting before that shoot. If you are called on a fitting, sometimes they're paid, sometimes they're unpaid. It's probably like about 50-50. If you are called on a fitting, it is a very good indicator that you will be booking the job. However, it's never 100%, hence why they have the fitting, just to kind of like see what a model looks like in the clothes, you know, get a better feel for the model. So yeah, I think that generally covers fittings. This is really important, the words option and release. So when you start modeling, you're bound to hear option and release sort of repeated, said quite a lot. So an option is literally basically a short list. So if you get an email from one of us at Contact or whoever you're with saying you've been optioned for something, it literally just means you've been shortlisted. I should probably mention that, like, with options, so how it generally works is a casting director or a brand will go to various different agencies and platforms. So they probably won't only come to Contact, they probably go to different agents as well. And they'll ask them to kind of send them a package of models. Once that package has been sent over, a casting director will make a sort of short list and they will ask to option that set of models. So if you have been optioned, just be aware you could be one of 3 or one of 2, or you could be one of many. But yeah, an option literally means you've been shortlisted. Release is, the other end. This is also something you'll hear a lot. I think at the beginning, sometimes people can feel discouraged by the, being released a fair bit, but it is not something to be discouraged by whatsoever. Like, basically any modeling job that's happening, they're considering so many people for it. So being released is just really par for the course. It's good to be optioned at all. So when you hear release, it literally just means that you've just been released from that job. Call sheet, yeah, that's a pretty important one. That's just what goes out before any job that you might have been booked onto. So, if someone says we'll send you over the call sheet tomorrow or whatever, you can expect just like a sheet with sort of phone numbers, location, call times, when you're expected, and sort of any further details. A lot of the time at the moment, with all the COVID regulations, they'll also send with the call sheet kind of like COVID safety measures or like a declaration form as well. These can be super last minute, so just be aware of that. And again, time, which is what comes on the call sheet, is just the time that you're expected to arrive on set.
Cool. So here's a little bit about castings. So it's super important that you're on time. This is kind of when your casting begins and when the casting director learns their first bit about you, and being on time is really important. If you're running late, you should always let your agent know and tell them your expected arrival so they can let the casting directors know. Always smile and greet the casting directors when it's your turn to cast. Your casting starts the second you walk through the door. And it's just really important that you're like friendly and presentable. Wear outfits that highlight your personality and show off your figure while ensuring that you feel comfortable. So this is like kind of new advice. In the olden days of modeling, people would be told to wear all black, skinny jeans, like slick back ponytail. But now models are being booked more on their personality as well as their looks. So it is a really good idea if you like dress in clothes you feel comfortable in, clothes that show off who you are, and just tells the casting director a little bit more about you. If you're casting for a show, for a women's wear show, it's important that you bring heels with you. And I can't stress enough to make sure you know how to walk in the heels before you turn up to that casting. I've had like experiences where I bought a new pair of heels because I don't ever wear heels apart from modeling, and I just couldn't walk in those particular heels. So this is like, just make sure you try them out a few times, walk around your house, walk down the street, and check that you know what you're doing in them. Also, if you've got long hair, make sure you bring a hairband because sometimes they'll ask you to just tie your hair up before you do a walk. And make sure you're wearing minimal makeup for castings. Casting directors really just want to see what your face looks like. So by minimal, I mean like concealer or maybe mascara, but don't go like with like blusher and eyeliner and everything just because they're kind of looking at your face to decide what makeup would look good on you for the job. I've also literally been booked on a job for like my eyebrows being so see-through, and if I had filled them in that day, I wouldn't have been booked on the job.
Yeah.
Cool.
Next slide.
Yeah, next page.
Okay. So I'll take this one. Obviously, with the kind of wider situation at the moment, a lot of castings have moved to the digital. So there are less castings in general, I would say, just because there's a lower volume of people that can get invited, and there's just like a little bit less work around, so just to be aware of that. But there are a lot more online castings taking place. A lot of the stuff that Laura mentioned on the general castings slide does apply. So like, again, don't go overboard with the makeup. Maybe have a hairband as well. At that point, definitely just make sure you've got really good natural lighting, I would suggest, rather than like a kind of yellowy light. If it's not too late in the day, best to situate yourself maybe in front of a window, so you'll just like look really clear, and obviously make sure, like, as well as you can, that you've got a really good Wi-Fi connection. If it gets glitchy and stuff like that, there's not much you can do. So it's just always best to like be prepared and test it out beforehand. I think, again, like the client probably even more so than in like real life castings, that a client's going to want to like see your personality and your character. So just always remember that like they're there for you and you're not there for them. So try to kind of like not be too nervous about anything. I know that's like, easier said than done, but like just try and remember that like, they're really there for you, and like it's just kind of like a connect, call, and a meet. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Obviously, as with like the Wi-Fi connection, just really make sure that like if you can, that there's not too much noise around you, or if you're in a house with other people, maybe just like make sure you give them a heads up so no one like walks in or is super loud or anything like that. Casting videos. So the first thing to say about this is we get like such a range of casting tape requests or casting video requests. Sometimes they ask the models to do like the craziest stuff. It sounds like really, really wild. And obviously it's easy to get awkward about that kind of stuff, especially if you've got less experience as a model. So like my suggestion would be that just like throw yourself into anything that you're sending. Like honestly, the more like engaged and interactive you are, like it just really increases your likelihood of booking something. So try and give it your all, even if you do feel a bit awkward. Just do a few tryouts and just like get into it. That would be my big suggestion for that. Again, definitely important to try and film in natural light, so outside or in a room with a lot of light. Again, minimal makeup. And if you have someone in your home who can film you, that's always obviously preferable. There's a lot of casting videos that ask you to do like sort of full body stuff that is, obviously maximize your chances if they can see your kind of like whole body and everything in the frame. Doesn't like matter if you don't have someone in the home. It's always like worth a try. If they really like you anyway. But just to be aware, like always someone to help you along with that.
So here's like a little section about jobs. So you'll probably be asked beforehand, before you get the call sheet, but your agent will ask you what allergies you have, and if they don't, you should just let them know what kind of allergies you have, because on set they might be providing food for you, and it's important that you've got something to eat. Again, just like the castings, be on time. You've been booked on this job, you're being paid for this job, and production put out the casting sheet so everyone's got enough time to fulfill their job. So if your call time's 8 a.m, it's 8 a.m for a reason, so hair and makeup can start on you. Again, if you think you're going to be late, tell your bookers straight away so they know. When you get there, be friendly and greet everyone. If it's a big shoot, production will be your go-to for anything you need. So they're the people you go to if you need like water, or if you need to know where the toilet is. If you feel like you can't speak to anyone on the shoot, definitely contact your booker. They'll be there for you all the time. Make sure you've got their phone number or their email address on hand. Let them know on the shoot if there's an issue with something, and they can sort it out right away for you, rather than waiting till after the shoot, when like the shoot's finished. It's also a good idea when you're on set to ask to see a mood board before shooting, if it's for an editorial or a campaign, just so you know, like it can give you some ideas for poses. You can like channel exactly what they're asking for and what they've booked for, and it will just make the shoot go a lot more smoothly. And always be professional. Like at the end of the day, this is your job. So it's important that you're just professional, polite, and yeah, friendly to everyone.
Cool. Yeah, just to like repeat Laura's point a little bit, obviously like a big part of our job on operations is to make sure that you are like comfortable and having a good time on shoots, and like that everything's going smoothly. So again, yeah, like if there's ever an issue on the shoot, I would suggest, like I would recommend, if you ever do have a shoot, you know, through contact obviously, just save one of our numbers. We all have our numbers in the email signature, and like you might well be conversing with us on like WhatsApp already, with a shoot upcoming, but if you're not, just save a number and it's just there. Like that really is like a big part of our job. So yeah, don't ever be kind of afraid to call us or message us or whatever, like one of us, if you have any issues on a shoot.
So here's just a few tips I've learned from jobs that I've been on throughout the years. It's a good idea to wear or bring nude underwear with you. They'll often give it to you on set, but just in case they don't, like if you're wearing tight clothes, you'll be expected to like be wearing tight underwear. Wear comfy clothes such as a tracksuit and like shoes, like slides or something. This is because like you're going to be there for a long time, and you often have to like get changed out of their stylist clothes into your normal clothes again. This might happen several times, and like when you have lunch, you have to get changed. It just makes it way easier. You don't want to be like putting jeans on and off and then tying up your laces every time. Also bring a book. If it's like a big shoot, you'll be there for a long time and there'll be a lot of downtime in between, and you might get bored of your phone. And bring a snack. I always try and bring like a cereal bar or like a piece of fruit. Often there's catering, but catering sometimes doesn't arrive to a certain time. So if you're someone like me that gets really hungry really early on, it's a good idea to have like a banana with you or something. Also, definitely make sure you're patient. If there's like 10 models booked on the shoot, you're going to have to be waiting a long time before you start shooting. So just take this time to meet all the other models, everyone else on set. It's a great opportunity to build a community and make friends in the downtime as well. And always be polite and respectful to everyone. You never know when your next job might come from. So that's everyone from the intern to the stylist assistant to the photographer. Personally, I've had experiences where I've worked with a photographer. I've mentioned I like a brand that I was styled in, and then I've been booked by that brand because the photographer is friends with the brand. So it is a really good idea to just be yourself and be friendly with everyone.
Yep. Cool. Thank you.
So yeah, you guys can feel free to send in any questions you have. There's a couple of them here right now that we can answer. But yeah, if there's any more questions, send them our way and we'll give it a go.
Okay, should I jump out of this now?
Yeah. So the first question I'll go ahead and answer. Says, this is a difficult question to phrase, but how do we look out for things that are inappropriate? What do we do if we're uncomfortable during a fitting or a shoot? That's super important. Definitely the second something makes you feel uncomfortable is when you should address it. So like we said, you can contact production on set if there's something like an issue with dietary requirements. They'll sort that out straight away. If it's something else, you can contact your booker. You can contact so Julia, for example, will be able to be on hand on a phone call. You can contact her and then she'll be able to sort the situation. It is really important you do speak up if someone wants you to wear something and it's against your religious beliefs or something. Just say straight away that you don't want to wear it and it should be fine. But definitely tell your booker, your agent, if you have an issue.
Yeah, I would second that. Just just repeating what we said with the slides. Just really have us on hand. Know that that's part of our job, and it's not an inconvenience for us. It is literally and it's such a massive part of what we're trying to do at Contact. So we do want to have your guys' backs, and we do want to make sure that there's we're minimizing any kind of discomfort. Next question, Asha says, given that the call sheet is so quite last minute, what happens if we have prior engagements with work? I mean, it's one of those ones that you can't really avoid. Like, if you're being optioned for something coming up to a call sheet, it generally wouldn't be that you just suddenly receive a call sheet in your email. It would generally be that there would be things leading up. For instance, maybe a week before, you might know that you were sort of optioned for something, then maybe a few days before you get confirmed for that. And then that would give you, a few days leeway to rearrange anything that you had prior. Obviously, like, there's nothing, like, we're not going to force you to take something if you need to prioritize your work. So it's just, in the end, it is a personal decision. But yeah, hopefully the call sheet might be last minute, but hopefully the confirmation on the job would be a couple or a few days before.
I'd say, as a general rule, for me, once I've said I'm available for something, I wouldn't book anything else on that day, just in case you get confirmed really last minute, because that has happened to me. I was optioned on a shoot like 3 weeks before. I didn't hear anything, and then on the morning they were like, "You've got it." So it's a funny industry, but you do have to kind of make sure that you are available when you say you are as well. But if it's something like, if you're ill or something really serious has happened, then you just tell your booker and they'll be able to sort it out for you. Is it appropriate to ask for casting feedback? I've never done this, but Julia, do you have any thoughts?
I'm not sure if you're saying if you would ask, like, your booker with contact if the client had feedback about you, or if you're asking directly. I would suggest probably not to ask, like, in the moment. It just would, like, anyone in that position, it would put them on the spot a little bit. Like, when you are dealing with casting, you're meeting so many people, and if everyone's kind of asking them in that moment, like, oh, like, was this casting okay? I think it just, like, could make it just, like, a little bit awkward. But it's a good question. But I think, yeah, if you want feedback from your booker, I guess there is scope for us to kind of email them and say, oh, is there any feedback? But to be honest, it's so fast paced. Most casting directors probably, like, wouldn't really, like, have time to really respond. And it's usually just not anything that deep. It's just like that, whatever. You just weren't right for that particular client, rather than there being anything that you personally need to work on.
What's the best way to increase your chances of being put forward for castings and shoots? Is it just having a good portfolio? This is probably one we can both answer. For me, I think it is about, like, networking and building a community, as well as having a good portfolio. But it's about, like, who you interact with. Also, your Instagram plays a part. Like, every time I do a shoot, I'll tag every single person on the shoot. And it just helps you build up that community and, like, build trust for people to work with you again and book you again. Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we actually have this question a lot where people are concerned about the size of their portfolio. To be honest, when people are casting for something, the main thing they really are looking for is like a strong set of Polaroids. They just want to see, it's just like with the casting, where they just want to see really what you look like. It's kind of the precursor to that. So when someone's looking to cast models, they're really just going to be looking at, like, what your face looks like generally, and sort of your general kind of energy. I think there are certain cases where a portfolio could be helpful, maybe with, like, beauty editorials, or maybe, if someone wants to see that the model specifically has had a lot of previous experience. I would say it's probably like 80-90%. That's not that important, and maybe there's like a 10 to 20% leeway where a portfolio would be, like, really important.
The next two questions are actually about the same thing. So they're both about hair and changing your hair. The first one is about, like, changing your hair before, in between, like, jobs, and the second is about being a black model with having different hairstyles. So I would say, if you, like, dye or cut your hair, it's a good idea to inform your agency and just send a new Polaroid so they've got it. And should I bring all the possible options? So if I showed up with my hair out, I could bring my wig if they wanted long straight hair. I think that's a good idea to do. And maybe Julia can elaborate for more on the booking side.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, like, our bookers or our clients, when they come to us, we do always check in with the models about what their current hair is. if, for instance, we would come to a model and they say, okay, well, my hair's like this, but it can also be like this or like this, then we would let that client know that that's sort of like the options. And we would ask a model, probably would just ask, well, no, we definitely would just ask for a photo with the, 2 or 3 different looks or whatever it was possible for them to provide all those looks at that one time. I would say, like, if you think that is an important thing for us to know, then maybe just send us a little email and let us know that, so that for future things we can make a note on your profile, and we can make sure that, like, we come to you when any casting director is looking for whatever look, and ask you if you can provide those photos or what your hair's like currently. That's like always a question that gets asked. And again, with that, if they ask what someone's hair is like currently, we just ask everyone to send like a little selfie, and that's it really. But yeah, I think, as with anything, just bring as many possible options as possible, and just bring it up with the casting directors, and ask if they'd like to see like more than one look.
The next couple of questions are about applying to agencies. So for Contact specifically, we only take applications via the online scouting system, rather than DMs on Instagram. We have a team who checks through that for scouting. The other things I would suggest are, make sure your pictures are against like a blank wall in natural light, for agencies in general. And yeah, they'll tell you exactly the process. So it's usually like a headshot and a side profile and like a length.
Yeah, kind of second what Laura's saying, and also really important, just like no filters, no sort of editing, because there's like apps, on the apps you can tell when someone's photos come in if they've used any of those apps to like, and then when we meet you in person, it's just like there's no point kind of like falsifying anything, so just make sure your images are like really honest. I would also say don't like don't worry too much, and don't try too hard with the images. Like, they don't have to be perfect. It just has to be a representation of you, and no one's looking at those pictures like, oh, is it good or bad? Like, people just want to see you. So yeah, I would say don't stress too much. Don't kind of like overwhelm anyone with images. So if you're applying with Contact, we have like a set amount of photos that you send, and we're really specific about what we want. But some agencies, you kind of can send whatever. I'd say, like, just don't send too many images. Just send like a simple set, maybe like 7 or 8 images. Make sure your full body is in some of those images, as well as just face. Is it possible to send polos in DM? To be honest, if like all our applications, we make sure that we ask for the criteria that we need to see if we think that you're right for our clientele. So if you did, sort of not get a sort of request for casting from the application, then it probably isn't really worth your own time to kind of send them on DM. Generally, all we do with DM applications, just ask them to apply online, because otherwise we'd be kind of like giving all different criteria to all different people, which isn't really fair. We rather keep it fair and make sure everyone's applying like legitimately and sharing all the same stuff. So yeah, if you weren't successful with the application online, I would suggest just keep trying and keep sending it around to other agencies and check their application systems, and yeah, try and take on board what Laura and I have kind of like said about what they'd want.
This is probably a question more for Julia. As a new model at Contact, how can I up my chances of being seen by casting directors on the platform?
Well, the short answer is, once you're on the platform, that is kind of the platform. So there's probably not much you can do in terms of like increasing your visibility, because you're already there. Something we're working on at the moment actually is kind of working with anyone who's been with Contact for a little while knows that we work a lot with tech, and trying to like make everything fairer for our models and within the industry by using that tech. So we're definitely working at the moment on how it's possible to like collect data and make different packages more automated to certain casting directors. So that's quite an interesting thing that we'll be experimenting with, which could increase your chances. What I will say as well is it's location does have a big factor. So if you are London based, you will be more likely to book work. That's where we're based. That's just how it goes. But yeah, I think just being on the platform itself, from there, I think professional Polaroids really help. But from there, yeah, it's just the luck of the draw, really, I guess. And yeah.
How do I know which agency is best for me? Should I look for ones that represent girls who look like me? It really is just trial and error. When I was applying to agencies, I applied to about 5, and 2 out of 5 were interested. The others like straight away rejected me. So it really depends. Agencies have like certain types that they look for. So yeah, maybe girls that look like you, but also a lot of agencies don't like having too many people that look similar. So it really just depends. Just send them to as many as you can.
Thanks, Joshua. That's really sweet. Does facial hair affect castings? That's a tricky one. So where we fall at Contact in terms of how much like control we have over someone's look, we really try to be hands off. A lot of traditional agencies will say you cannot change your appearance now. You signed this contract, like you need to stay the same, unless we kind of like allow you to do something different. We're definitely not like that. What I will say though is like if you go with like the majority of clients, they do just want someone who's more of like a blank canvas, for want of a better word. Like I'll also say like in the last few years there's been a lot more like edge and inclusivity that's like come into the industry and into like casting choices. But I think at the moment as well, it's very much kind of like there's a lot of like pared back and natural kind of looks. So I would say if you're thinking about like facial hair, first of all, just think if it's going to narrow the opportunities for yourself, and second, make sure you just tell your bookers if you have changed your facial hair, because obviously like if we put forward sort of one image of you and then you have like a whole different look, it's really important for us to know that, so you don't just like turn up to a shoot with like looking different. Yeah, I hope I answered that without being too waffly.
There's a few questions on London Fashion Week. You might know better than me.
Yes, I can answer this. So we sent out a little email at the beginning of January, just when the heavy lockdown came back in. So we've spoken to a few different casting directors. Most of them are saying that most projects are now being moved to April, so everything will merge into one singular fashion week in April. However, there are a few things coming into us, not nearly like at the rate that they came in last year, or over the those couple of seasons where everything was less affected. We'll keep you updated on it. I think we have all our contacts there, so what we generally sort of do before the season is just like send a little message out to everyone with a package of some people that would suit that brand, and make sure that they sort of have you guys there, ready to go if needed. But yeah, it's been a lot quieter this season, and everyone sort of doesn't really know what's going on. There's a lot of digital stuff, so yeah, just bear with us, and we'll let you know as time goes on. Hopefully, next season it will be a bit more lively.
Next question, is it an issue if your skin breaks out close to the booking? No, it shouldn't be an issue. There's always makeup artists on set, and everyone has different skin, so they know exactly like how to work with it. So don't worry about that. It's always stressful thinking about it, but it's always absolutely fine.
Yeah. Can we be with another agency along with Contact? So how it works is either you will sign to us as your mother agent, and we're happy to place you with other agencies as long as they're happy, you're happy, and we will generally be happy because we want to like further your career, and we want you to like do all the stuff you want to do and be where you want to be. We do a lot of placements, which is where we send models to various partner agents we work with, if we think that agency would be suitable for a model, or if we think that model is suitable for kind of placements. The other side of the coin is if you were already with an agent who placed you with Contact, then obviously you've got another agency in that respect. But Alex, obviously I know we are like the mother agent to you, so we're happy as long as that agency is happy and you're happy. And then obviously if you do acting and stuff like that, then there's like a lot of different kinds of agencies that go into the acting world. But yeah, we just obviously need to be notified. We have contractual obligations and agreements. So yeah, we're really happy with it, but we just really need transparency and to like be in contact and agreement with the other agency.
These next few are for you, I think. I don't know the answer.
Camilla says, how do you get selected to go on castings? Like with any job and any casting, it's all just a casting director or a client will come to us, ask for us to send a package, and we'll send over a package of various models. They will then select from that package who they would like to meet, and it's as simple as that, really. Sometimes they'll come to us cold and they'll say, we've seen this X, Y, and Z models on your website and we'd like to meet with them, and we just go that way about it. Giorgio, second question. When it comes to being with the agency, so at the moment, Giorgio, I know you just came on with us. So ordinarily we'd be like pushing for test shoots with someone like a new face. Unfortunately, we had to put a hold on test shoots because of the situation. But hopefully next February, March, as things hopefully open up, we can start arranging test shoots again. So just like with Camilla's question about castings, we send a package to, you know, all the kind of photographers, stylists, makeup artists that we work with regularly, or new ones that we find who are super talented. We're like constantly on the lookout for like more people to work with. We'll send them a package, you know, and sort of connect with them. And if they select someone to work with, you know, that's how you'll get the shoot. If there are people that are kind of, you know, coming into your DMs that want to do test shoots with you, we're like more than happy to accommodate that. Just be wary, be vigilant, make sure it's not someone who's trying to shoot you for a brand without paying you. That happens a lot. And a lot of the models who came to us came because like that, they were already booking a lot of work outside, but they wanted to be protected. And they know that Contact is like very supportive of like creative pursuits, and we don't try and like block our models off from anything. But yeah, so if people are wanting to work with you, that's fine with us. Just give us a heads up. And otherwise, yeah, we just continue to put you forward for test shoots in normal times.
Is there anything we can do to get a first job? This is one thing I'll say. It's really hard to book a job in modelling. There are so many models out there, and you often get optioned on a lot of things, and it can feel quite disheartening, but you just shouldn't be disheartened because it happens so often. To get a first job, I'd say like do all the test shoots that Contact send you. It's good to like update your Instagram, put Contact in your Instagram bio in case like there's a casting director that's come across your page. But yeah, don't be disheartened. When I started modeling, I didn't book a paid job for the first year. And it really just depends on like what's in trend at the moment in the fashion industry as well. Because it changes every season who will book more jobs and who won't. So just like be persistent and just like enjoy all the test shoots and editorials you have. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, Joel says, any advice for someone with some experience finding it hard to find consistent work? I applied to quite a few, several with no luck. It's best to keep applying. I mean, the nature of the whole industry is so difficult to like pin down, you know, here's a formula to finding consistent work. You know, even Laura, who, you know, is with like a really strong agency and, you know, has booked really great jobs with brands in the past, will tell you like, unless you're literally like kind of like, I don't know, one of the like supers or something, or like you're not, it's very difficult to be booking like every day or every couple of days. What I will say is like, just have the patience, because we have, you know, for example, we have one model who came to me a few months ago who they hadn't been booking anything, you know, they hadn't booked anything in a few months. And they were saying to me that they felt discouraged and should they still do it? You know, to which I sort of said, well, first of all, you know, the wider situation makes it obviously a lot more difficult. And, you know, there's nothing to keep you with us. If it's not working for you, then that's fine. But like, what's the point of not being with us if you're not with anyone else? So that model said, okay, great. Like, I'll just stay on and see how it goes for the next few months. And then like just last week, booked an Adidas job for like a really nice amount of money, one day. But so it's just this kind of thing where it's like it really is around just luck. I think also what Laura touched on with just making sure your social media presence is sort of up to scratch as much as you can make it and want it to be, and just like, networking, putting yourself on the map a bit more. I think, why not keep applying? If those agencies weren't right for you, then keep applying to others. As long as it's not kind of like making you feel bad, then I think, why not? It's always worth it to keep trying to get what you want if you want to be rep by an agency.
We've got 15 minutes left. So there's a couple more questions based about contact specifically. Do you want to try and answer those, Julia?
Yeah, I can just kind of try and whiz through these. So once you sign to an agency as an MA, is that firm? Can the MA not change? You sign a contract with an agency as an MA. You can cancel the contract if it's really not working for you, of course. Like, no one's going to block you, and especially like at Contact, we're definitely not going to like block someone in. No, we have like a kind of like get out. Most agencies or mother agents will have a get out clause of like maybe a month or 90 days or whatever, but usually they won't observe it. If you're not feeling that it's right and the agency isn't feeling it's right, then you can just leave. Could a lack of work ever result in us being taken off the books? I mean, no one would kind of like, it's not like a punishment to take someone off the books because they're not working. What a lot of traditional agencies sadly do is just remove people without kind of really notifying them, which is just, pretty horrific. What we just do try and do is make sure our models are aware of like where we're at with them, where they're at with us, and we just don't want to like be wasting anyone's time if they aren't booking like anything. But at the same time, like what we generally say is, if you're on the platform and it's not like harming you, then like you might as well just stay and see if you pick up more work or pick up some work. Tyrese, can regularly posting pictures of yourself on Instagram? Yes, short answer, yes. I think having an active Instagram social media account can be like really invaluable in booking jobs. So I would say stick at that. Thank you so much. Oh, thanks, Alex. Okay, in New York. So we're working on moving at some point to be more globalized. So I think it's very preliminary conversations at the moment. So nothing's sort of set in stone or certain. But I think once that kind of hopefully comes into play in the next year or two, then we will be able to work a lot more over there. We wouldn't obviously be able to spend as much time working on test shoots over in New York. But if things came into us, we would of course like pursue them. Serena, why do you want to answer this one, Laura?
How do you know if you're high fashion or commercial, and what if you have a high fashion body but your face is a mix of both? I think that really depends. You kind of know from what jobs you're getting booked on. Like, I'm not a commercial model. I've never booked a commercial job. I only book like fashion and editorial jobs, and I'd say the standards for bodies are completely changing as well, because I do some high fashion jobs, but I don't have a high fashion body. Like, I've got I'm like slightly larger than the average model. So I think it really it totally is changing at the moment. So that's not something you should put too much pressure on yourself about. Because it's not really up to you. It's up to the casting directors, like where they want you. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. If you get booked on a runway show abroad, is travel paid for by the booker or by the model or out of the salary? If you booked abroad and they want you specifically, it will be paid for by the client. So the designer would pay for it. If you've like flown out to Milan and gone to the castings, it wouldn't be paid for by them. It would be, you would have paid for it already by yourself. But if you're being flown out for a job, they'll pay for like accommodation and flights.
The other thing to say with that is I've completely forgotten. Some agencies will kind of give their models like ready money forward to kind of get the models to pay them back later of potential earnings. We definitely don't want to get involved in that. I think that's like a very risky game, and a lot of models end up like in serious debt with agencies that kind of do that to them. So yeah, I would say like obviously it's your prerogative if you want to kind of like go out and do that for yourself. But yeah, as Laura said, the client would generally pay if they wanted to work with you directly. Oliver, so Laura, actually we did a similar, like we did a presentation a week ago or so about.
Yeah, a few weeks ago we had an Instagram, like a 101 of how to grow your Instagram. It's not something that like your agents will work with you on like one-on-one, but if you ever have any questions, you can send them across to me and I can try and answer, or I can send you the video of the talk we did, because we went quite into detail about like how to set up your Instagram for modeling.
Dagnaya says, I had a test editorial shoot. Will they send me the photos? So how it works is we have a sort of digital platform that we work from in the sort of back end of Contact, where when a model's done a shoot, if it's paid, we know to send off the invoice immediately. We know to request the images. So we have a kind of date marker of 30 days where we'll check in on that job and we'll say, have we got the images? Have we got the payment? And we'll chase both if we haven't got either. So sometimes they can be really fast. Sometimes they can be really slow. Usually it's like really slow. But yeah, they will come into you. If you feel like it's been longer than a month and you haven't like seen or heard anything, then you can just like obviously just drop us a quick line and just say, hey, I'm still waiting on these. Can you do it like another check-in? Lena, any advice on how to go into freelance modeling work? I feel like again, it's all about socials, using your social media and like networking there as well. I know that most jobs are in London. So if we take you on as a model who isn't based in the UK or maybe Paris, like we don't have a lot of work in Denmark, so we will only take on people that we think that we can, you know, most likely place with an agency there. So if it's someone we think, okay, they have a really sort of strong look or energy or whatever, and we think that we can potentially place them over there, then that's why we'll take someone on. Primarily, and then maybe for international jobs there's not a lot of those going on at the moment, but yeah, in general then we would also obviously include that model in international like job call outs.
I think that's everyone. Yeah, if anyone's interested in that talk, we have uploaded the Instagram talk to YouTube. I think it's on a secret link though, so if you can't find it, then send me an email and I'll be able to send that to you. There's one more question that's come through.
Oh yeah. What's more tools and running supposed to make it more prevalent? You can make it more prevalent by like refusing commercial jobs, but I would really suggest that you take the jobs you're offered and see where that guides you. Like it's more the industry that's going to like take you up on jobs where you kind of would belong, rather than you being able to manipulate where you want to end up. That's what I would say on that.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for coming, everyone. I hope that was useful to you in some way. And we'll send you a recording of this as well, so you've got it if you needed like to take any notes on our presentation or anything. But yeah, thank you.
Okay. Oh, there's one more question. Some in absence of most test shoots at the moment. Could we submit all those test shoots? By friends or colleagues. Charlie, yes. We mentioned a bit earlier, you can go ahead and organize stuff with friends. Again, we're really open to like creative sort of processes, and we have a lot of models who are like super creative and do a lot of stuff with friends. So that's all fine for us with test shoots. Just give us a heads up that you're doing it. That's it.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you guys. Have a good day. Bye.